Concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes, very warm welcome to you wherever you are to the hub. You are in the hub. Yes, you might be at home. Yes, you might be in your vehicle. Yes, you might be on your way to work. But that moment in time, that space, you are a part of the open university where you can learn, where you can know more about what's happening in Grenada, Carriacou, and the PT Martinique. And we are back on radio. We are back on Facebook and YouTube. This morning, I had to do the program only on Facebook because we had some streaming issues. But now everything is A-OK, and we are ready to go. I want to, again, deal with the issue of the two teams, the two groups, because I think it is important to establish in the minds of our people what the NNP represents, what the NDC represents, what Keith Mitchell and the NNP represent, and what Deacon Mitchell and the NDC represent. And we can argue about putting the honorable before both names, but we understand clearly what we are trying to do here. We are trying to make it abundantly clear that there is one party who is living in the past who will say to you, it cannot be done. Or they don't think it could happen. And you have the other party who will say, it could be done. We will make it happen. It is possible. So the NNP will say it's impossible. The NDC will say it is possible. The NDC will say it's feasible. The NNP will say it's not feasible. It just cannot happen. And I want you to think about that. We want a better Grenada, but you have the NNP still stuck, still regressing, while the NDC is moving forward. And again, I will demonstrate that with evidence, because I know it has to be about evidence to convince you on where you need to keep your support, put your support, what side you need to be on in this whole conversation, in this whole time of transformation. So let me start off by, again, putting the evidence before you. All right? But before I do so, there is a little piece that I think you need to hear. And I want you to hear it from that individual himself. right? Because we have often said on this program, you need to know when to exit the stadium. A good dancer knows when his or her time is up, when you need to get down the stage. We know that within the NNP, there is a lot of infighting. They want to push Keith Mitchell out. That is why he's now becoming more visible on talk radio, well, in the public generally. So he's now utilizing the GBN to the point program in the morning, every Tuesday. He wants to come back and come back and come back to spread his lies, if you ask me, based on my observation and my belief. But I'm saying to you, it is because of the pressure. He's coming out. He's like a crab. The whole full up with water. So he's crawling out to be relevant. But again, we must be strategic and tactical in what we do and how we do what we do. That is why I'm saying to you, there is a team of men and women, that's the NNP, who continue to say to you, no, it cannot be done. And there is a team on the other side, which is the NDC, who is saying, yes, it could be done. It's possible. There is a team on this side, the NNP, who is always negative. There is a team on this side, which is the NDC, who is always positive. There is a team on this side who is in political turmoil. That's the NNP, chaos. There's a team on this side who is stable, who's at peace, who continue to work hard to bring prosperity and betterment for the people. So hear this. This is Keith Mitchell himself in 2016.
I always believe one should always be thinking of the time that you will not be there in that position. So I keep, sometimes I get emotional when I think about it because it's not an easy thing, but you have to do it. Otherwise you find yourself overstaying your time to the point that you will be pushed out because people get tired of everything in life. So better prepare yourself to go out when you're on top.
Dr. Mitchell's.
Yeah, just give you a little taste of that. We're going to come back to that. Right? We're going to come back to that. That's Keith Mitchell himself, in 2016, telling you that people get tired of you after a while. Right? People get tired of that. And if you don't want to move, they will push you out. We will get back to that. We will come back to that just now, very soon. So let me now show you, because I love to put forward evidence. The NNP is saying, no, it cannot be done. But before I go there, let me play something else that just pop up, because these days you have a certain man in the media telling you that he has the facts, telling you that he apologized and he came out and he apologized and he calling for who and who to apologize. In fact, he's so out of place, he calling for our beloved Prime Minister to apologize for something that is true, right? So you remember the oil and gas announcement?
To all the headaches. One well was drilled. There were results that we wanted to confirm before we make a noise. Sisters and brothers, the report said that we have found significant gas and oil in the waters of Grenada in one well so far. Sisters and brothers, you know what that means for your future? It means a lot for the future of this country. Sisters and brothers, one well. We have several more wells which are even more exciting than the one they just found. In other words, Grenada can be a massive supplier of oil and gas. With God's blessing, sisters and brothers, we will be marching on to victory, sisters and brothers.
Yeah, that was Keith Mitchell there. And that's the same character, the same individual who was on the news tonight calling for our beloved Prime Minister to apologize for factual statements, in my belief, that he put out there. I want to say this. If anyone out there smart or have a little sense, they will know if a Polish man who doesn't know about Grenada, he's not even speaking English, approach a government to buy a diplomatic passport. He approached the NNP administration to buy a diplomatic passport. And remember, we were told that the NNP administration has never engaged in such acts by selling diplomatic passport. They say that they don't trade in diplomacy. We then get to discover, one, that they were selling diplomatic passports. Two, this Polish individual approached the NNP administration to buy a diplomatic passport. He paid 100 and something thousand US to the government of Grenada, and he gave or deposited, transferred 100 and something thousand US. What was it, 140,000 US to a political party bank account in the south of the island? How could that be right? How could that be, transparency? How could that be honesty? How that could be accountability? So here you have Diablo, in my view, in my belief, defending that and arguing about a cabinet conclusion. Just on the face of this thing, it is wrong. It's the wrong thing to do. In the first case, you should never be selling diplomatic passports. That is not for sale. Secondly, if the individual purchases a diplomatic passport or he gave the money for a diplomatic passport, you should never, ever reach to the point where in the same vein, he transferred 100 and something thousand US into a party account of yours. How could that be right? And then you're on TV saying, well, both parties does receive donations and so on for party. It's outrageous. These people will come out and defend the indefensible. And it's the same thing the individual did when his cousin was involved in a call center business. The same thing he did to come out and justify that. And that call center business went into financial problems. And that cousin of Keith Mitchell approached the Keith Mitchell-led administration and asked the government of the day, at the time, for assistance, a private company. And then the government gave a $9 million loan to that company. The government acted like a bank, Tutu's the company boss. But before the company went bankrupt, the government also signed as a guarantor, giving a guarantee to a bank for $9 million to that same company. So that's $18 million. $18 million. And the company went bankrupt and we lost all taxpayers' money. But not only that, the government had some shares in Cable and Wireless. The shares were sold, and taxpayers supposed to have received $4.5 million for the shares. That $4.5 million went towards paying the debt of that same call center company involving Keith Mitchell's cousin, right? That they were owing to Cable and Wireless. But it's the same way this individual came out then, and it's the same way he came out now with this particular matter of the Polish individual and the diplomatic passport. But I thought I should say that to you. And I played the oil and gas clip right there to remind you that this individual is a pathological liar. He's accustomed to lying. You cannot trust him. You cannot believe anything that he has to say. He has no credibility when it comes to the dissemination of information. That is why I played that. He cannot be trusted. I played the piece, the clip before that, when he spoke about exiting the stage, retiring, and so on. All right? But do you know on how many occasions this guy said it will be his last? You can't trust the individual, in my belief. But let me now prove to you that there is one team, the NNP, saying it cannot be done, and there is another team saying, yes, it could be done. That's the NDC. So let us move to the bi-monthly salary, because that's a very fresh one for you. All right? Keith Mitchell said it was not feasible. All right? Can't be done. It's not feasible. That's what it is. Let me play that first for you.
Ended plan, however, scoffed at by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who said fortnight salaries was not feasible. He was soon reminded that this was the same promise he made to the Grenadian public.
Also, the NNP has been looking at the problem of the economy here. You see, the NNP is a thinking party. And what we realize is this. Every month, a man gets a salary. By the time in the middle of the month, the man broke completely. And because of his being broke, the economy in several ways stagnates for that period. The NNP, therefore, will look seriously at the possibility of paying government public workers every 2 weeks, not every month, as it appears to be at this time.
During Sunday's rally at Montrouge, Dr. Mitchell explained why fortnight salary is not practicable.
Over 20 years ago, we explored to see if at all we could pay public servants fortnightly, if that was feasible. We even made the statement that we look into it. In other words, if it could be done, we will do it. It turned out that it was not practical at the time.
Right. So you heard it there from Keith Mitchell. Not practical, not feasible. And that's what the NNP represents. Cannot be done, not feasible, not practical. But here, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell and what his party did, because we won the election and they did what they must do as a government.
When we say we will do something, we are going to do it. And I'm going to end on this note. On the 15th of April, 2023, we will begin the payment of bi-monthly salaries to the people who work for the government of Grenada. When we say we will do something, we are going to do it. And I'm going to end on this note. On the 15th of April, 2023, we will begin the payment of bi-monthly salaries to the people who work for the government of Grenada. And we'll also be using the opportunity to begin a process of financial literacy education courses throughout the length and breadth of Grenada. Because we need to understand money, we need to understand finance, we need to understand investing, we need to understand business, and crucially, we need to plan for retirement.
Right. So you heard it there from our beloved Prime Minister. The NDC represents possibility. The NDC represents vision. The NDC represents results. The NDC continues to achieve, to advance, to build. The NNP, on the other hand, is saying, no, it cannot be done. We can't fix this. We can't do this. The NNP represents tearing down, mashing up. It's totally different. And it's something that we need to start talking more about. Very, very important indeed. We need to start talking and comparing the both parties because it is important. Our Prime Minister spoke about financial literacy, training, and opportunities. In that clip I just played, the NDC could be trusted. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell could be trusted. He said so, and they have started that.
Grenada will advance further if more conversations are held on money and financial management. That's according to financial literacy expert Dr. Terence Martin during an exclusive interview with GIS on money management as part of government's commitment to educate the public service and other citizens following the fulfillment of bi-monthly payments in April. The promise of making bi-monthly payments to public officers was part of the Deacon Mitchell-led administration's campaign promise during the June 2022 general election. Dr. Martin explained that if the cycle of having money as a taboo is broken by parents from an early age, children can learn about financial management and Grenada can move forward smoothly from monthly payments to bi-monthly.
We can't make arbitrary decisions to just leave it there, or I'm not going to deal with it. And we oftentimes shelve money conversations because talking about money is taboo, or we dare not ask. It's ingrained in us. It's literally systemic and systematic at the same time. And if we could break those initial cycles, I think this would have gone a lot smoother, or will go a lot smoother in general. So we can't just say, yeah, I'll just leave it there, because again, by the time you make that payment, you might then be out of that grace period. If you're going to tell somebody to save, you also have to tell them the cost of saving. And the cost of saving is inflation. And that's something I didn't learn until I was in college, right? And I knew inflation existed because I did economics at the Cape level and etc. But to really know how inflation impacts us, because I was shut out of the money conversation.
Right, so it's very clear that the NDC administration started the whole money management training and sessions and engagements, financial literacy engagements, and I think it's a good thing. So they said they would do it, and they have fulfilled that. So you heard there the whole bi-monthly conversation. The NNP said it is not feasible, it cannot be done. The NDC, on the other hand, said yes, it could be done, and we will do it. The NDC did it. The NDC did it, and the business owners, particularly in Grenville, where that interview was done, they're extremely happy.
The government has officially begun the payment of bi-monthly salaries to government workers. And our news team visited the town of Grenville to speak to business owners to get from them firsthand what they think about the rollout of the bi-monthly payment of salaries and how this is going to affect business going forward.
I was very glad when that step was taken, because I spent about 40 years in the States and they pay bi-weekly, and that keeps business going. Because when you think about it, in 1 year time, for a person to get paid 12 times, how can he live like that? 12 times. If he's getting paid more regular, then things will go on, business will go on, schools, buses, everything will survive better.
Well, I don't believe it go. I believe it go be a good on business. You understand? Because people, the money go float around more faster, and I believe that even for the people who collecting the money, it go be good for them too. Because some people, when they have to wait till the end of the month, sometimes they borrow their money. I mean, the end of the month they just to pay back with their money, so them go be able to budget the money better if they get the money a little faster. That's how I think about it. Yeah, well, what will come from this normally on a month end, I just have a busy time on a month end. So with that happening now, I know twice a month I can have a busy period. So they go benefit me in that kind of way. You understand? Yeah, so that. That's what I think about it.
From a business perspective, I believe the bi-monthly rollout of salaries is very timely. Of course, it leaves an opportunity for persons to have a greater spending power, but in all of that, it is very necessary for persons to budget as well. As relates to the businesses, it would create a better turnover, all right, and that of persons having the spending power, right, and persons being able now to able to control the cash flow. You know, I believe that businesses will benefit.
Right. So thank you very much there. Again, so people are talking, and you speak to workers, they're extremely happy. Union leaders and everybody, they're extremely happy about that. So, folks, let's move to another real example of the NNP saying it cannot be done, the NDC saying yes, it could be done, and we will make sure that it is done. All right? Very, very important indeed. So let us first listen to what. Let me right, let me just sort that out here. No, that was a mistake there. All right. All right. Let me just get that here sorted out. So listen to Keith Mitchell first and what he had to say about the pension issue.
Dr. Mitchell provided preliminary figures of what the payout would cost government.
While these fiscal obligations of the court ruling are still being tabulated, preliminary indication, and these are just preliminary numbers, are that we will have to find at least $465 million.
So they got the retroactive pension payment and the gratuity. It's amazing.
Sisters and brothers, take that in. $465 million. That's not all. And then on average, we'd have to find $120 more million each year for at least the next 37 years.
All right, so folks, it's important that you hear from this pathological liar. Right? We know that it's not costing the government that kind of money. But the government was able to get that done because NNP saying, well, NNP is doom and gloom. NDC saying, we will get it done. We will fix the thing. We will sort the thing out. It's important. All right? Very, very important. So let me now play for you a little piece of this promise that was made by the Honorable Deacon Mitchell.
If you could borrow 150 million to build a stadium, you could borrow 150 million to start paying the pension because the money coming right back into Grenada.
That was political leader of the National Democratic Congress, Deacon Mitchell, as he addressed the recent High Court judgment on pension for public officers. Addressing party supporters at the launch of the St. Andrew Big Four on Sunday, he said the NDC will not support any move towards appealing the judgment.
Here's the excuse that will be made. The excuse that will be made is, it's a lot of money. Well, Grenadians deserve a lot of money. Grenadians deserve the money from the oil and gas that we still have not seen. Our pensioners deserve the 161 million that you bought back Grenada shares for, and we still don't know where the money came from.
Right, very powerful there from the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. So again, you're seeing you have one team who is saying it cannot be done, and you have another team who is saying yes, it could be done, and they continue to deliver. They continue to deliver where that is concerned, which is really, really good. Right? The whole issue of the pension. Then we saw the pension paid. We saw the pension paid, and that was really, really remarkable. So let us go to that to show you evidence of the same.
It fills me with great pride and honor to be able to hand this over to you.
Ms. Jeremiah, would you like to make any comments?
Beg pardon, I can't hear you.
Would you like to make any comments? Would you like to say thank you?
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Thank you, thank you.
So maybe you can share how happy you are to actually be receiving the check.
Yes, I am thrilled. I am happy. Sometimes when you're happy, sometimes tears come to your eyes. Not for sorrow, but for joy. And when myself and my niece, who take care of me, she brought me for it before she gone back to work. She asked for the time off. And she was more thrilled than me. She said, when I see that figure, she said, you're happy for life. And I want to thank the Prime Minister because he didn't have to do it. I work with him. But I want to thank you that today I am here and I feel happy in my spirit. Very happy. Thank you, thank all of you. God.
Right, so you heard it there from Ms. Jeremiah, who's extremely happy that she was able to get her pension. And our beloved Prime Minister spoke further on the whole issue of the pain of the pension. He spoke further about it. And it's important that we listen to what he had to say.
I'm happy that my administration was able to make good on its commitment to pay the pension. Although this matter took several decades, the fact that we made the decision early, the fact that the pension secretariat was formed quickly, well-staffed, and that the folks and the personnel that worked hard to make this a reality is, I think, testimony to our commitment as a people to make sure that things happen. And that when we say we will deliver on something, that we put our best foot forward to make sure that happens. So the praise really has to go to the pension secretariat, to Mike, Tonya, the audit department, the Accountant General's office for ensuring that this was done in a timely manner. Now, this is no small feat. The transfer of $44 million from the state to the citizens, and eventually the projections is that as much as $75 million will be transferred from the state to the citizens, is perhaps the single largest transfer of wealth from the government to the citizens in the history of Grenada's post-independence. And so we have to appreciate that it is not just a symbolic gesture, but we are talking here fundamentally about the well-being of our citizens. If people work for 30, 40 years to build the state of Grenada, and we let them retire into poverty, it is the state of Grenada that we are doing a service. It is the citizens of Grenada that we are doing a disservice. And so philosophically and fundamentally, we have to, for future purposes, work to ensure that all of us who work, not just public servants, eventually get to the point that when we retire, we can be paid a pension.
Right, so that's the Honorable Prime Minister there. And again, he is, well, at the time, he was the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. But folks, I am playing all of this so you can understand. We have two teams of people in Grenada in the politics. You have the NNP, led by Keith Mitchell, who is saying it's not feasible, it cannot be done, this will not be achieved, this will not be attained. Words to that effect. Words to that effect. In other words, it's just negativity, it's just complaining, it's just grinding and groaning, the prophet of doom and gloom. That's the NNP. The NDC, on the other hand, led by the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, is saying, yes, it could be done. The bi-monthly salary is a typical example. It was done, it was delivered. They told you it will be delivered, it will be done. It was done, it was delivered. The pension and the gratuity, it was paid, it was done, it was fulfilled, it was accomplished, it was achieved, it was attained. In other words, you have negative with the NNP and you have positive with the NDC. And that is very, very important because remember, Keith Mitchell wants to come back into power. The NNP wants to come back into power. That is something that you must know. Remember, the NNP criticized the paying of the dock salaries to the teachers and public officers when the Honorable Deacon Mitchell said, no, we need to ensure that there is a good climate for working. We have to harmonize our efforts to build, to produce. And he offered that olive branch to the workers. The NNP criticized it. In fact, it was the NNP administration who went into the salaries of public officers and take their money. So they must criticize it. They must be angry with the fact that the Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team, they were able to come and I think it was the swearing-in ceremony and made that he was able to make that announcement at the swearing-in ceremony saying, hey, we will pay the teachers and public officers back their money. And that was great.
As the Prime Minister of Grenada, it is important for me to address the workers of Grenada, not just in the public sector, but in the private sector. The time for industrial peace to prevail is now. The time for productivity is now. And as the leader of the government, I accept that we are required to extend the olive branch to begin that peace process. And therefore, I'm going to publicly announce, as a sign of our commitment to ensuring that peace prevails, that in my capacity as Minister of Finance, and subject to the blessings which I believe I will receive from my cabinet colleagues, and in particular the new Minister of Education, we will instruct the Ministry of Finance to repay to the teachers of P.T. Martin, Carrick, and Grenada Thank you. To repay to the teachers of P.T. Martin and Carrick and Grenada the salaries that were docked unjustly from them, and that those payments should be made as early as the end of July 2022.
All right, so you heard it there from our beloved Prime Minister. And again, folks, that is what Keith Mitchell hates. That is what the NNP supporters hate. And we continue to refresh your memory. Because you see, the NNP is saying it cannot be done. The NDC is saying it could be done. It will be done. We will fix it. We will improve it. We will make it better. That is what the NDC is doing. The NDC is progressive. The NDC is positive. The NDC is stable. The NDC is united. The NDC is committed to peace, stability, and prosperity. But the NNP, on the other hand, represents chaos, represents instability, represents negativity, represents problems, suffering. And you see it every day. They're telling you this cannot be done. that cannot be done, but we are seeing before our very eyes that the NDC is getting it done. So Keith is parading on TV, parading all about, doing all kind of interviews like a crazy bat, right? And I know why he's doing it. He's doing that because he's under real pressure within the NNP. They want to kick him out. They want to force him out. He knows that. So he's out there now. Have you ever seen this guy always out there like that? No, he thought he was above the fray and above everybody else. But now he becomes nothing. Nothing. In fact, a friend said she went to a particular place and she saw him in the line like any and everybody else. He become nobody in the scheme of things. You know, before he used to be that kind of plain thing, and he above this and above that. Go in the line and stand like anybody else. But again, folks, I want you to remember there is a team that's doing and there is a team that's just talking. And you can't call the talking team a real team, you know, because they're fighting among themselves. Chaos within the NNP, right? But the evidence is there to show the NDC continues to deliver. Yes, they made promises to the Grenadian people, but they continue to deliver to the Grenadian people. Do you know the NNP criticized tax amnesty too? Yeah. They were their pundits, their surrogates, saying, well, it's only businesses and it's not for the people and so on. And it's not a good thing. Well, Grenadians are now enjoying the tax amnesty. I got some reports today that people are going in droves to sort out their taxes.
The government of Grenada moves ahead with plans to implement a modern tax system that is simple, equitable, and easy to administer, and one that will also provide taxpayers with the opportunity to begin on a clean slate. Tax arrears exceed $600 million, and this negatively impacts government revenue collection. When he presented the 2023 estimates of revenue and expenditure in December, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, said that effective January 2023, government will implement a 100% waiver of all interest and penalties for all arrears up to December 2021. During an interview with the Government Information Service, Deputy Comptroller at the Inland Revenue Division, Randy Boyk Cadet, explained what tax amnesty means and the taxes covered under the amnesty.
A tax amnesty is a program offered by the government that allows taxpayers to pay the principal amount on the tax without paying the interest and penalties. So government has decided to waive or to grant a waiver of the interest and penalties. So again, taxpayers are only responsible for paying the tax amount, which is the principal amount of the tax that is due, with the exception of the interest and penalties. All taxes have been settled by the IRD. I think we are with 8 or 9 different tax types. This amnesty is for each and every tax type. And property tax, value-added tax, corporate income tax, personal income tax, annual stamp tax, pay as you earn, each and every tax type.
Right, so you heard it there. It's for each and every tax type, and it's for everyone, all taxpayers. Once you owe, you have a good opportunity to straighten out your tax business, and you would not be required to pay the arrears. You will not be required to pay any penalties. Go in and sort out your taxes. So folks, the NNP, they're saying, no, it cannot be done. They're saying, well, it's not feasible. And the NDC, on the other hand, is saying, yes, it could be done. And the NDC continues to get it done. And that is remarkable. That is amazing. The NDC also announced 100% concession for the creatives. The NNP criticized that. The NNP saying, why should you invest so much in that sector? Well, we know why. Because the creatives, they create a lot. Job opportunities, and we can go on. And things are very expensive for them. It's a good move.
As you know, the creative industry while it might just look as entertaining, but it's a very expensive industry.
The biggest problem that we face in the industry is the availability of equipment. Even after you buy them, there's this high cost to get it into the country, especially if it's something big.
Some of the biggest challenges that I've faced in the space at the time, really and truly, I mean, most creatives face the same issues of being able to access tools, access knowledge, access resources in a space where some of it doesn't exist.
For me, this 100% concession gives me an opportunity to expand my business, and it will give me an opportunity to take my business in the direction that I've envisioned it over the last few years.
The 100% concession given by government towards the creative industry is going to help us a very long way. It simply means that we can invest more in ourselves and more into the business.
Well, the 100% allows us to level up a little. We have access to more stuff, more equipment, and that gives us the vibes to keep pushing and keep, as I said, leveling up the thing a little bit more, so that we get that internationally recognized quality, whether it's in movie and film or in music or drama or whatever it is. We have that access to things that allow us to do that.
Previously, we had the taxes that we have to pay on every piece of the item that we bring in. I think it's like 44.4 or something like that. Don't quote me on it. But now that we have 100% concession, you can buy tools, equipment, resources, software. You can even engage more human resource personnel to come into your business. So that means you can really expand.
I think that this initiative by the government to allow 100% concession for creative is indeed a step in the right direction.
Yes, so again, you heard it there. And what I am doing is refreshing your memory. What I am doing is putting the facts before you, because Keith Mitchell and the NNP, they're out there trying to criticize. Well, they're criticizing the government, trying to talk the government bad. They're enemies of progress, in my view. So they're bitter. They miss what they had. So they continue to be out there trying to destabilize, in my belief, this progressive team. But they are not being successful. But what we have to do is not fall into their trap, but continue to highlight the good things that the NDC is doing. That's important, because we have to ask the folks out there, which side are you on? Right? Which side are you on in the scheme of things? Which side are you on? Because you have the NNP, who represents chaos, instability, who represents complaining, noise. It cannot be done. It cannot happen. Negativity. That's the NNP. But the NDC represents prosperity, represents positivity, represents stability, represents results. It could be done, it will be done, and they're delivering over and over again on the many promises that they made to us. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? That's the question. Which side are you on? I want to know, because you have to pick a side in all of this. If you are progressive, if you are a thinker, if you are a person who loves Grenada, you're patriotic, you're positive, you want Grenada to move forward, you have to be on the NDC side. You have to be pro-government. You can't be a supporter of the NNP, because the NNP does not represent your values, your ideals, what you, the vision you have for Grenada. And I challenge you today, because it's so important that we reflect on those things, because Grenada belongs to all of us, but you have some people who are pulling down, tearing down mashing up things because they want to come back into power. That is what they want, you know. NNP wants to come back into power. So the fighting continues within the NNP. And as I told you, in 2016, Keith Mitchell himself told us what would happen to a leader who wants to overstay his time.
I always believe one should always be thinking of the time that you will not be there in that position. So I keep, sometimes I get emotional when I think about it because it's not an easy thing, but you have to do it. Otherwise, you'll find yourself overstaying your time to the point that you will be pushed out because people get tired of everything in life. So better prepare yourself to go out when you're on top.
Dr. Mitchell
is at the very bottom. So you could imagine the way he feels, and you could also imagine what is going through his mind, right? He's saying to you, it's better when you go out on top. But he's at the very bottom. He was beaten by a young man who was never involved in frontline politics. He came and beat him, beat Keith Mitchell and the NNP, who were there for 20-something years. So he wanted to go off or go out on a high when he was prime minister. But that cut skin he got, he will never recover from that. Up to today, it still hurts him badly. But he's also saying that people just get fed up of things, right? People get fed up of many things. And I think the Grenadian people fed up of Keith Mitchell. And if he doesn't want to go, he will be pushed out. And I'll play it again for you, because it's a piece that I bounce up in my archive. Because I have them thing down pack, It's important that you hear it.
I always believe one should always be thinking of the time that you will not be there in that position. So I keep, sometimes I get emotional when I think about it because it's not an easy thing, but you have to do it. Otherwise, you'll find yourself overstaying your time to the point that you will be pushed out because people get tired of everything in life.
Yeah, you will get pushed out. Prophecy must be fulfilled. You could do what you want, prophecy must be fulfilled. You see what he said there? You heard it carefully? Yeah, that will happen.
I always believe one should always be thinking of the time that you will not be there in that position. So I keep, sometimes I get emotional when I think about it because it's not an easy thing, but you have to do it. Otherwise, you'll find yourself overstaying your time to the point that you will be pushed out because people get tired of everything in life. So better prepare yourself to go out when you're on top.
Dr. Mitchell.
It's amazing that you can find something to connect with situations surrounding Keith Mitchell. It's strange, but it's true. Anytime he's doing all kind of stupidness, I could go back and get something that connects to that situation. So with all the infighting within the NNP, he doesn't want to go. So they're teaming up and organizing against him. And the very thing that this man said a while ago is exactly what will happen to him. He doesn't know when to exit the stage. People get tired of him a long, long time ago. I'm telling you. But he's not even listening to himself, which scares me. Because you have been there for 40, almost 40 years in the politics and 20-something years as prime minister. It's time for you to go. But he believes that he's still relevant. He's on radio these days, on television, on nearly every platform. He's looking for relevance. And as I told some friends, anytime you're in politics and you take down your opponent, make sure you go in the church or wherever they're burying your opponent politically, and make sure you watch inside of that casket or coffin. And when you finish there, make sure you go to the burial ground and make sure you see that coffin go into that hole or tomb covered seal. That is politics. I said that to you, and I told you Keith Mitchell and the NNP will not go away or go to sleep and allow the NDC to govern. Some people say to me, oh, Kem Jones, forget him. He gone, he done beat. But nearly every 2, 3 days, 4 days, you need a radio, TV, or making some melee otherwise. That's how he functions. I told you I could make Keith Mitchell with dirty mud, you know. Yeah. So people are now coming to that realization, boy, Kem Jones know what he's saying. Grandpa ain't going away easy. Because you see, power is a dangerous thing. Yeah? He wants that thing so bad. He wants power so bad that he's almost, 80, going on to 80, 70, late 70s, going on to 80. He has a lot of money. For the individual to go and enjoy his money and enjoy his latter days or years or whatever, he's still fighting for power. That is how dangerous power is. He believes that he can still come back. Yeah? So folks, remember there is two sides, and it's important to differentiate them. Make the comparison. And I will ask you again, what side are you on? And if you are on the right side, the side that speaks to peace, tranquility, prosperity, opportunity, positivity, moving Grenada forward, transforming Grenada, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. Folks, have a wonderful night. I want to thank the 1,000+ people who have been on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much for doing so. Thank you very much for being there. I want to wish you all the best. Continue sharing the program and telling people about the program. That's very important, if you ask me.
The proceeding was a paid program. The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests of this program and not the views of this radio station.